Alain Prost has been the most successful driver at the Brazil Grand Prix. He managed 6 victories between 1982 to 1990. 5 of these were at Rio de Janeiro circuit, with his 6th and final being here at Sao Paulo. Fernando Alonso has never taken victory in Brazil, yet the Spaniard has made the podium on 8 occasions, more than anyone from France, Arnold Whitehead, and Michael Schumacher, who stood on the podium 10 times, 4 times the Grand Prix winner. In 2019, Max Verstappen.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the stream tonight. You are watching the Race Spec Esports PlayStation Pacific Open Series Tier 2. It is always an absolute mouthful. I am Liam, aka Kickbutt Kiwi, your commentator for tonight. Just riding solo at the moment, but there's a slim possibility I will be joined by the ever-elusive Artie Chengs a bit later on. But it's great to have you along with me for the ride tonight. I think I just mentioned it is round 12 of the World Championship, 15 rounds in total. And as you can see, we are here at the Interlagos circuit in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where of course they are racing in real life this weekend. So good to be somewhere where it's relevant to our real life counterparts. Riding on board with Dan the racer at the moment. Qualifying has just started, 15 minutes still to go. Dan in the Alpine heading towards the end of the first sector, so we'll ride on board with him for the time being. As we do so, we'll do a little bit of a recap of what has happened in the last race and where the respective championships are, or what they're looking like as we head towards the crunch time of the season. Has Dan just been punted? He has been hit by Fangle, T-Hangle, and the Ferrari man is out skis within 3 minutes of qualifying starting. I don't know what's happened there. It looks like is Dan dawdling on the racing line, or has he tried to pull over and uh-oh, another car is off behind Dan. What's going on here? That wasn't Crowjag, might have been Server. Drama, and Server spun. What is going on here? I'm trying to look at the championship standings, and there's some kind of tomfoolery going on with G4 Server on his... Oh, he's not on an outlap, he's on a flyer, so he's had some kind of issue. I'm not entirely sure what's happened there, but we're right on board. He should come into the pits. I'd imagine he's probably burnt through those tyres. And he does come back into pit lane as Master Jedi sets the leading time at this early stage with a 109.5. I'd imagine that those times will go down rather a lot, and indeed Toto crosses the line with a 109.2, so the times will indeed tumble. Race Spec with a 109.0. There we go. Now where was I? Back to last time out. Now where was last race? I think it might have been Mexico. No, it was France. That's how in tune with things I am. I'm absolutely all over this. But going through the results from last week, our race winner was Honest Crook in the Red Bull. Still sitting in the pit lane here in Brazil is Honest Crook, but he got the win in France at the Circuit Paul Ricard. That was his second win of the season. Second place was RS Spitty in the Haas, who, well, has been knocked down to P5 now. Andy Lloydie leading the standings, but yep, RS Spitty got a second place, backing up his first place in round 9 in the USA, and then the podium in France was rounded off by Asher in the Williams. Now, do we have Asher with us tonight? Yes, we do. He's in the Williams. What's he up to? Looks like he might be on a flyer, so we'll stick with him for a bit. So top 3, Honest Crook, Spitty and Asher. P4 was Drowl, and P5 was G4 Server. Now, looking at the Drivers' Championship, it sort of doesn't correlate with the results from the last round. So our championship leader is actually Aniup Lloydie, who, as mentioned, is sitting at the top of the standings and qualifying here at the moment. He leads the championship on 183 points. He's got a 33-point lead back to his teammate in the Alpha Tauri, Seb, who is racing with us tonight again and sits P4 currently in qualifying. Third in the Drivers' Championship and only 1 point behind Seb is G4 Server in the Alfa Romeo, who we saw having some kind of issues, possibly involving other cars. So a little bit of a bumpy start to quali for him, but yeah, just looking at his results, he's had quite a few DNSs and DNFs, particularly in the early stages of the season, but every race that he has participated in, he has finished no lower than 5th, actually, and he's finished, looks like, 7 or 8 races, so very consistent performer. When he is in the lobby and staying out of trouble, you can bank on him to finish quite a wee way up. Asher was only able to do a banker time, bit of a slow one. He'll come across the line again and doesn't improve, does it? Might have invalidated, not sure. Anyway, where were we? Drivers' Championship. So it's Aniup from Seb from G4 Server, 4th in the Drivers' Championship. Finished P4 last week as Drow. Drow is on 146 points, so only 3 behind Server. And then 5th in the championship is Dan the Racer in the Alpine, and he's on 135. He's struggled for results recently. He hasn't had a podium. He had 2 podiums in the first 3 rounds, but since then he has finished in the sort of back end of the top 10 on average, and then a couple of results outside of the top 10 the last few races. So it's been a bit of a struggle for our mate Dan, and then realistically, if there's anyone else who could challenge for the championship, it would be P6, which is Honest Crook. He's on 128 points, so 55 behind Aniup. And he got the win last week, so he's got pace, but can he produce the consistency that's required? That is going to be the big question. As we tick over 10 minutes to go in qualifying, looks like Asher, what's Asher doing? Running around with no ERS. Right on board with Drow, who's sitting second currently, 108.8. Some really good camera views in the sort of third person, but it can be hard to see exactly how well they're driving. See, oh, that was obvious that Drow went a bit deep there. We'll see his next sector time to see whether he's improving. He comes through the middle sector, tight and windy. You need a lot of downforce through here, of course. Around the tight right-hander, and then on the power through the sweeping downhill left. He'll come through the sector split, watch the top right of the screen, and he's up by 2/10. And if my maths is serving me correctly, and it may not because I was in the challenged person's maths class at school, he could be in with a chance here of sticking it on provisional pole. Right on board, watching that time, hugs the pit line, and he does a 108.6, so well over a 10th clear of Aniup. Drow looks like he's on the pace. Excellent lap from our mate in the Aston Martin. Aniup Lloydie sitting in the pits, so maybe just biding his time. Power Sight's up there in third in the McLaren. He's 4/10 off Drow. Is he on a flyer? I think he might be. He's burning through the battery. He's got a fair bit of traffic coming up now. Can he navigate this? And will the cars in front, more to the point, get out of the way? And they do. Good driving from, might have been Catherine Dan the Racer, or even Bear 2.0, or none of the above. Once again, we'll watch that delta. It's up by 2/10, so he's definitely going to improve his time, but it looks like there's about 3/10 to the next car up the road, G-Force. Timed his battery use pretty well. He'll hug the left-hand side of the track as well. Now, what can he do? Yeah, it's a 108.7, but it's not quite enough to disrupt the top three. So, some quick times it looks like being set by the leading three, and at the moment, no one quite has an answer. Seb in the AlphaTauri, second in the Drivers' Championship. Comes into the pit, so he's going to reset and go again. We've got yellow somewhere on track. Looks like just for a slow car, although there's a Ferrari. Is that delayed? Yes, it is. Delayed. Had a wee mishap. Ooh. Let's clean those tyres up. Coming across the line, but he's burnt through his battery, so he's not going to be able to improve nearly as much as he could with a full tank of VRS, and he's probably going to put it in the wall, is he? He is. Oh, he'll keep going in right behind him. Looks like Toto gone for a little pirouette of his own. Might have been on an in lap. Potentially, not too sure. Projag might have just gone P5 for the 109.0 in the Alfa Romeo. So both Alphas in the top 5 as it stands. Just looking down the bottom of the order, Honest Crook, he's famous for leaving his quali runs very late, and he's sticking true to form at the moment, but you do wonder, with the pace that he showed last time out getting the win in France, you do wonder what he might be able to achieve if he actually, well, you know, did qualifying properly, but hey, that's just my opinion. Sitting P20, we'll see if he comes out before the end of quali. Spitty coming across the line, what can he do? He does a 108.661, improved by well over 4/10, and he's just a whisker away from provisional pole, so excellent improvement for the Haas man, almost replicating the heroics of Kevin Magnussen, spoiler alert, from real life. So he sits second, and he'll come back into the pits and have one last go before the end of quali. Yeah, so we're in just a little bit of a lull at the moment. We're right on board with Anu Lloydie. In the meantime, we'll also have a look at the constructors' standings. And with AlphaTauri drivers occupying first and second in the drivers, as expected, they are destroying the competition in the constructors' standings with 333 points. They lead. Their next challenge is Alfa Romeo on 246, so just under 100 points lead. Then it's Alpine on 221 and Aston Martin on 217. So a bit of a three-way scrap for second between Alfa, Alpine and Aston, 3 A's. With the other A, AlphaTauri at the top of the standings, and then P5, 6 and 7, that is Ferrari, Mercedes and Red Bull, separated by 7 points. So a couple of mini battles there between 3 teams for both second place and 5th place in the standings. So we'll see how that pans out, but certainly AlphaTauri are in a bit of a class of their own as things stand. And speaking of whom, Anu Lloydie approaching the final corner, trying to get the cleanest run possible, and he's on the battery. He went on it pretty early, I think. He's deploying. No, he's okay. Interesting. Back into the pits. Does he have time to go again? I think he will. 3:20 on the clock. Asher is low. If he's going to go again, he needs to box right now. Man, they really fly through that final corner. It's hard to know whether they're pitting or not, but yeah, it gets it slowed down. And it looks like Drell, he might be going for his final push lap early, actually. couple of minutes to go. He did improve through the first sector. I think it was about half a tenth. Oh, he's getting a little bit wriggly through the right-hander, and wriggly again, and he goes around. And that will be, I think, the end of Drow for quali. I don't know that he's got time. Flyer. He's doing some work for the Interlagos groundsman here. Which also is not good for his tyres. Is he trying to save his battery? I'm not too sure. And I think he's trying to go again, get himself some free air. You can see on the mini-map on the bottom right, he's just let a few cars go, which kind of makes sense. But if you look at his ERS, on the bottom of the screen, he's low. He's on 30%. And that's not going to be enough. Now he's lost so much time. I think he could have come in and pit, you know, and got out again, but he sort of fluffed around, and now he's compromised himself. So to be honest, Mr. Drow, I am going to turn away from you, because I think you might have just scuppered your chances. So we will ride on board with the next most likely challenger, which is Powerside, and the McLaren. Oh, lap traffic there in the Alfa Romeo. He gets out of the way, thank you very much. Powerside, how far away is he from pole? He's a tenth and a half, and he's lost it. Rear end stepped out. He did improve through the first sector, so he was on for something, but he has bottled it too. Who wants this? Does Dan want it? No. Dan's saying g'day to Powerside on the runoff. He doesn't want it. Does Delayed want it? No. He's backed out. Master Jedi might want something here though. He is only 5 tenths away. Coming across the line. What can he do? P9, 109.1. Slight improvement, but not enough, and that will be him done for quali as well. I think Server might be our next one to come across the line and challenge. So we will ride on board with him. He also has traffic in front of him now. Was that car ahead on a hot lap? Oh, it's gone around as well. Was that Aniute? No, it was Seb. So Seb's done for quali too. Goodness me. So the pressure at the end of qualifying is catching people out. Drow's retired. He's had an absolute gutsful. He says that'll do, donkey, that'll do. So G4 Server will come through the final corner, and he's half a second down. My goodness me.